Good morning, welcome. So we are going to start in an assisted Virasana. So if you have two blocks, you're going to want to stack them just like this. If you don't have blocks, you can sit on your heels if that feels okay. If you're not comfortable sitting in an assisted hero's pose, then go ahead and come into easy seated, which can look like this, or however you want to come into seated for now. If you have your two blocks, I'm just going to turn sideways. You'll place your blocks between your heels and you're going to sit on them. You can also use books, just make sure that they have a solid binding to them, like a hard-covered book. And you just take your hands, rest them on your thighs, lift your heart away from your hips to sit nice and tall, and then with your eyes closed, just relax here into this space. Allow yourself to settle into this space by turning off that external stimuli and drawing the awareness in. Feel the shins and the feet connecting to the earth. Feel your belly drawing in so you can keep yourself sitting nice and tall. Let your shoulders roll down into your back pockets. Notice the breath moving through the nose. And as we start to settle into this space a little bit longer, you might start to have different feelings in the body arise, whether it's something physical that you're feeling, or maybe it's something in the mind that keeps coming in, like someone who keeps knocking on the door and you're trying to ignore it. So acknowledge it and then just let it go. Letting this next hour be for you. Let it become this stress-free, problem-free zone. Notice any emotions that are arising. And settling in and being okay with how you're feeling. And start to move the breath deeper through the body like you are a balloon. And we're not just trying to expand the chest. We're trying to expand in all directions on that inhale. And then when we exhale, I want you to imagine you're pressing all the air out of the body. And you're like a balloon deflating. Move this deeper breath through your body at your own pace. Add an extra layer to this breath work, and it's called a double exhale. So take one more deep breath like this, and then exhale. And when you get to the end of the exhale, pull the belly in tighter and push and force the rest of the air out. Inhale nice and deep, lips stay sealed. Exhale. Exhale again. 2 more times. Inhale deep. Exhale. Exhale again. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale again. Return to the normal pace of your breath. And as you can see, we do keep a little reserve, and I really want you to notice that you can totally empty the body of air with that second exhale, but just relax for a moment here. You might start to lose feeling in your toes for some of you, so let's all gently begin to blink open the eyes, and let's move the blocks out from underneath us. If you're not on blocks, just go ahead and make your way into table pose for a moment, coming to all fours. And to counter this pose, we come into down dog. So turn the toes under and slowly start to lift the hips up. Keep the knees bent. And then from here, slowly start to straighten the legs, letting the heels go heavy.
Once you're healed, pedal out those heels, stretching a little deeper through the Achilles and calves, but also letting the blood flow back down through the knees, the ankles, and into the toes. Taking a look to your feet or your ankles, so your head really hangs between the arms. Then slowly float your knees back down to the mat. Coming into table pose, readjust your hands so they're under your shoulders. And then just take a moment here to flow through cat and cow. Exhale to round the back, turn the toes under. And then inhale the cow, arch the back, lift the forehead and tailbone. So exhale, round, turn those toes under. And then inhale, arch and lift. Exhale, round, toes, turn under. Inhale, arch, toes, release. Let's do this 2 more times, moving at your own pace through cat and cow. Hold in cow and start to circle your ribs in a circle. Think of yourself hula hooping. You can let your shoulders move. You can bend your elbows. Just finding movement here. But what feels right for you? Go 1 more time in this direction. No one's watching, so you're fine. Take it to the other direction. Just have fun with it. Explore what your body can do. Remember, we are a student of our bodies, so listening to this feedback and adjusting for what our bodies need. Go 1 more time around, and then come back into that neutral spine of table. So feel like the back of your ribs are trying to lift to the sky, so be careful of shrugging in the shoulders. We want to push the floor away. Also, some of us tend to have this tilt in our back, so try to aim your tailbone to the other side of the room while the top of the head aims away from that tailbone. So we find this table pose. And let's reach our right arm up to the sky, looking to the thumb, and thread the needle. Bring that arm through to lower the shoulder and cheek to the mat. But if that doesn't feel right, you can always grab your block. It brings the floor closer to send the shoulder and ear to. If that doesn't work, then we just hold here, right? We can still reach through. We don't have to go to the ground. So what feels best for you? And then we can push our hand into the earth. We can lift it up to the sky, or we can take that left hand to the right hip. But I want you to reach through this right arm. Try not to go lazy and just let it hang out. Reach nice and long. Take 1 more breath here. And then press to rise back up, following that right arm back up to the sky. And then release it to the earth. Now let's take the left arm to the sun. Follow it with your gaze, and then reach through to the other side. Again, keep reaching strong with this left hand, pushing into the right, or sending it to the sky, or over to that left hip. Roll the shoulder into the spine, open the chest. Take 1 more deep breath here. Then let's push into that right hand to bring ourselves back up and looking to that left hand, and we return to table. Good. Take a moment here. What I want you to do is turn your toes under. Let's stretch out the soles of our feet. Walk your hands back to your knees and pause. Some of you will stay right here, or walk your hands up your thighs, pause, or bring the hands to the hips. Now you'll notice the further forward you tip, the less intense it's going to be on the soles of the feet. But eventually we want to get to this vertical, shoulders stacked right over hips, feeling our body weight press into our heels to create that stretch. And when you think you can't do this any longer, take 1 more breath. I promise your feet will not fall off, or your toes. And then slowly release, walk your hands out, tap the tops of your feet onto your mat. And then let's meet in child's pose, reaching the arms out nice and long, Utthita Balasana. Now whether your hips drop all the way to your heels or you're halfway there is fine. What works best for you? Listen to your knees, listen to your hips. Knees can be together, knees can be far apart. You decide what the body needs. But I want you to press your palms into the mat and send your hips deeper towards those heels and let your head and neck relax. One more breath here. Now let's inhale forward and step that left foot outside our hand and start to get a little warm up into that hip. And then turn the toes under and lift up. And then step into down dog. Take a pause here, pedal those heels. And let's do that again. Lower down, come into child's pose, hips towards heels. Take a pause here. Then on your next inhale, come forward and bring that right foot outside your hand. And if it didn't make it there, it's back here. Pick it up, bring it forward. And just settle your hips forward. And then turn your back toes under, lift the hip knee off the mat. And then step into your down dog. Take a pause here, pedal, pedal, pedal. But this time I want you to come down into kneeling plank. So instead of hips towards heels, bring the knees down and bring your chest over your thumbs. This is a great place to end up, especially when we do our power vinyasas. You're welcome to come here and always stay in kneeling plank. But from here, what I want you to do is lift your knees off the mat, fire up those abs, pull your heart forward, then float your knees back down. Just like we did in that lunge, right? We lifted our knees. Let's do this 3 more times. Inhale, lift, pull the chest forward, look forward, not with your chin, eye gaze, and then bring those knees down. If you want an alternative, just lift one leg at a time if you want to keep one knee on the mat. So you decide. Here we go. Inhale, lift up, look forward, push your heels away, lower down. Inhale, lift. Think of the back of your ribs lifting. So if your hips are sinking, pick them up. Lower down. From here, I want you to bring your chest and chin to the mat. So we're not sending our bottom back to do this. Stay forward. Start to bend your elbows. Either stay here or continue with your chest and chin to the earth. So chest, chin, hands, knees, toes. Unlock your toes. As your hips drop, scoop your heart through into cobra. Elbows stay bent. Slowly bring your elbows forward. And as we do this, press the palm of your hands into the mat. Hug your elbows towards each other like you have. Imagine you put the block between your arms. Or if you have a block, go ahead and do this and lift your elbows and come back down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. So you can just sit to do that or no block, and you're going to lift and release. 2 more times. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. 1 more time. Inhale, lift. Hug those elbows in. Exhale, lower. Now slide the hands back to when you were in cobra. Press up and float back to child's pose, hips towards heels. Let the head and neck relax. Let's slowly make our way into down dog, turning toes under, lifting hips to the sky. And then give a little shake of the head, yes and no. And let's bend our knees, look to thumbs, step forward to the hands, coming into Uttanasana, forward fold. And some of us, we may be feeling really tight in the back of the legs, so we can bend our knees. I know for me, I've been doing a lot of bike riding with my kids just to get out of the house. And so some of these things we're doing or not doing can create a lot of tension in the hamstrings, maybe even in those hips. If we're seated a lot, we probably need to build more strength in our glutes. And then let's inhale, rise to the sky. Exhale, hands into the heart center. Take a pause. So we're going to move through the fastest part of the class, our sun salutation. And this month we're working on a very traditional style sun salutation that I learned when I was taking yoga at the Hindu temple. So let's go ahead and stand nice and tall. Whether your feet are together or hip width apart is up to you. We're going to take a kneeling version first, and you can stay there. If you don't feel like doing sun salutations, you can do half of it and just lifting and lowering. So let's go ahead and inhale, rise to the sky. Exhale, fold to the earth. Today I have to compete with the dogs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bend your knees and send your right knee back, but look forward to this kneeling long lunge. Then release your left knee back to kneeling plank, chest over thumbs. Now toes can be flat or turned under. We exhale back to child's pose. Setting up for 8-point press. Inhale forward to kneeling plank. Exhale, chest and chin to the mat. So remember, it's chest, chin, hands, knees, toes. Inhale, scoop to up dog or cobra. Exhale, come back to child's pose. On an inhale, send that right foot forward to that kneeling lunge. It's a long one, and then look forward. Exhale, step into fold. Inhale, rise to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reach up to the sun. Exhale, fold to the earth. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Still in kneeling. We send the left knee back to that kneeling lunge and we look forward. So even the simple thing of lifting your head can activate a deeper stretch. Release into kneeling plank, chest over thumbs. Float back into child's pose. We set up for 8-point press. Inhale forward to kneeling plank, turn toes under. 6 points touching already. Exhale, chest and chin, that makes it 8. Inhale, scoop to cobra, elbows bent, shoulder blades in and back. Exhale, back to child's pose. Inhale, your left foot forward for that long lunge. And if the foot ends up back here, simply grab it, help it forward. Over time, you'll get that flexibility. And then exhale into fold. Inhale, reverse up to the sun. Exhale, hands to heart. So you can stay with this kneeling version, or we can take it up a notch. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, breath with movement. Exhale, fold. Send your right foot or knee back to lunge or kneeling. Look forward, push through both heels. Exhale to plank or kneeling. Again, we're looking forward. Our ribs are lifting to the sky. Come into down dog or child's pose. And here we set up for that 8-point press. We release forward into kneeling plank. Then exhale, chest and chin to the mat, or you do crocodile. Inhale, lift up dog or cobra. Exhale, hinge back, down dog or child's pose. Inhale, that right foot forward to lunge or kneeling. Push through both heels, look forward. Exhale into fold. Inhale, rise up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart. Again, reach to the sun. Fold to the earth. Halfway lift. Then fold. Send that left foot or knee back to lunge or kneeling. Push through both heels, look forward. Step into plank or kneeling. Again, 2 to 3 feet forward of our fingertips for our gaze. Come into down dog or child's pose. Press firm between the thumb and index fingers so you fire up those arms. Let them support you. Come forward into kneeling plank, setting up for 8-point press, and then exhale, chest and chin to the mat. Scoop up dog or cobra. Hinge back, down dog or child's pose. Float the left foot forward to lunge or kneeling. Look forward, look, press into those heels. And then step into forward fold. Rise up to the sun. Hands into heart. Let's do this one more time for both sides. Rise to the sky. Fold to the earth. Halfway lift. And fold. We send our right foot or knee back to lunge or kneeling. Left foot to plank or kneeling. You decide. This is about you, not what I can do. Come into down dog or child's pose. Forward to plank or kneeling. And then lower to that 8-point press. Scoop up dog or cobra. Hinge back, down dog or child's pose. Float your right foot forward. Look forward, reach the heart forward. Step into fold. Rise to the sky. Hands into heart. One more time. Move at your own pace. Let your breath be your guide. It's not about perfect. We're here for a yoga practice. So what is it that your body needs as it provides you feedback throughout the class? Allow yourself to let go of judgments, expectations, or competition. This is for you. You've taken the time out of your day, so why not do what feels best in your own body? When you arrive back at the top of the mat, just simply gaze to your fingertips. Take a moment, inhale nice and deep. And let's go ahead and bring our hands to our hips and stand nice and tall. So having your blocks close by can bring you some ease into the practice. We have vertical, horizontal, or flat. Know that you can always bring the ground closer to you. So notice I can come here, even if I need my knees bent. So I want you to find what works for your body. So let's take our hands to our hips, standing nice and tall. Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. Send that left heel back as you bend into the right knee. Now with your hands on your hips, I want you to make sure if you turned your fingers into flashlights, they're going to shine straight ahead. So if your hip, one is shining forward and one is shining to the side, you've opened your hips. So try and rotate your hips to the end of the mat. Press firm into the right foot, and then make sure the pinky side of your left foot is anchored into the mat too. Then inhale, rise up with your mighty warrior out of the earth. You can wrap your thumbs, you can keep them touching, whatever feels best for you. You can look straight ahead if that feels better for your neck. Then let's inhale to straighten the leg, prepping for Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose. As we hinge from our hips, bring your hands down through the midline to come to your thigh, your shin. Maybe you need the blocks and you're going to have to bend your knee a little bit, but not a lot. We're not in Warrior 1, we're in Pyramid. We're trying to create change in this right hamstring. Some of you may not need the blocks, so you're going to touch the earth, but we can let our head and neck relax. While you're here, I want you to pull your right hip in and back, making sure you're squeezing your inner thighs. If you look at your feet and you're on a tightrope, move the right foot over so you're hip width apart. And this is going to help for our next pose, twisting triangle, Parivrtta Trikonasana. Leave your left hand on the earth and draw your right arm up. Now your hand can be inside or outside the foot, but we're not twisting from our hips swinging out. We're twisting from the belly button spinning to the outside of your right thigh. As we make our way into chair pose, step the left foot in and sit the hips back and down. Make sure the weight is in your heels. If you're arching your back, maybe it's because your arms are too far back and you need to move them forward. So notice what your body is doing. Then let's exhale into forward fold. Make your way into plank and give me a power vinyasa. Lower to crocodile. Lift up dog. Hinge back. Hold down dog. Go ahead and make your way to your hands. Step or hop into forward fold. Rise to the sky. Bring your hands back to your heart. Hips. They both begin with H, so bring your hands to your hips. Go ahead and set up for Warrior 1 again. Step that left foot back. Watch where the hips are. Hands to heart. Rise up with your mighty warrior. Virabhadrasana rises out of the earth. And then let's move in to pyramid. Hinge from the hips. Where are you going to take the hands? The thigh, the shin, the blocks, or the earth? As we take this into twisting triangle, where does the left hand need to be? On a block in order to twist? On the outside of your right foot. Let's make our way into chair pose, sitting the hips back and down. As you maintain the weight in the heels, bring the hands to the heart. Shift into the right leg for Warrior 3, pick the left leg up,
and start to push that heel back. And as we push that heel back, we feel ourselves drawing our head away from our tailbone. And as we go into twisting half moon, release your left hand to the earth or a block and bring the right arm up to the sky. From here, take a big step back into lunge, and then go into plank and give me a power vinyasa. Lower to crocodile, lift up dog, hinge back down dog. If you're not doing power vinyasas, just keep yourself in plank, and then when I say down dog, go ahead and come into down dog. Let's make our way back to the top of the mat again. Rise up, hands to hips. We're going to keep building on this flow. Step your left foot back, warrior one. Where are your hips in this pose? Aiming forward. Your knees should be stacked over your ankle. If you're back here, see if you can bend a little bit more or step in. Shorten your stance if you need to. Then rise that mighty warrior out of the earth. Coming into pyramid, straighten the leg, hinge from the hips. Where do you want to take your hands? Notice, is your right hip pulling back, left hip pulling forward. Keep those hips square. Coming into twisting triangle, draw your right arm to the sky, or maybe it stays at the hip so you can roll your shoulder open. So you're tight in the shoulders, stay here. Come forward into chair, Utkatasana. Bring the hands to the heart, peel the left heel off the mat. Remember, we're going into warrior three. So as you rise that left leg up, push it back, you can leave the hands at the heart. Maybe you need the block for one hand or both hands. Release the left hand down, twisting half moon. And then meet me in warrior two. Send that foot back, windmill open. Reaching long and strong. Now our hips are aiming, but watch your left hip. If it's sassy, tuck it under the body. Keep bending into that right knee. All right, power vinyasa, windmill down, step into plank or kneeling. Either hold here or give me that flow. Lower to crocodile, lift up dog, hinge back, hold down dog. Let's take one more round of adding on. Make your way into forward fold, then rise up to the sun, hands to the hips. Warrior one, step that left foot back, rise up. Coming into pyramid, tipping forward, hinging from the hips. Pull the right hip back, left hip forward. Moving into twisting triangle, Parvrita Trikonasana. What's best for you? Hand on the hip or reaching to the sky. Come forward into chair, Utkatasana. As the hands come into the heart, peel the left heel. As we go to straighten the right leg, push the left heel back, Virabhadrasana 3. Warrior 3. Rise up into the right hip instead of going heavy into the foot. Twisting half moon, left arm down, right arm reaches up. Floating into warrior 2, windmill open. Reverse warrior, stretch away from that right thigh. Side angle, tip into the right thigh with power. Stretch long. From here, I want you to rise up and windmill over to your left foot, step into plank, and either stay or power vinyasa. Lower to crocodile, lift up dog, hinge back, hold down dog. Just a fancy way to turn you around. Look to those thumbs, make your way into forward fold, and then rise to the sky, hands to those hips. Now if you used your blocks the last time, grab them, bring them to this side of the mat. Make sure they're there for you. Why fight the pose when you can use the blocks and find ease? So feet hip width apart, think of railroad tracks. When I say your feet are on railroad tracks, that I'm meaning they're hip width apart. So hands to the hips. Now we step the right foot back into warrior one. Set it up. The first round we took slow. So our hips are aiming forward. Our knee is bent, stacked over ankle, pinky edge of the foot sealed to the mat. Then press the palms together. Mighty warrior rises out of the earth. Straighten the leg, tipping into pyramid. As we hinge from our hips, hands to the thigh, the shin, stay where you're at. What I want to do is turn to face the camera. Notice when you hinge, are you sticking your hip out to the side just because you want to get deeper? If so, you got to pull that hip in and back. Doesn't matter. The flexibility in that hamstring will come, but that alignment can be very important. As we hold here, making our way into twisting triangle, leave your right hand either on the earth, the leg, and then bring your left arm towards the sky. And this is where pulling that hip in and back is so important. And then let's step forward into chair, Utkatasana. Notice where your back is. Notice if you're creating tension in the shoulders, you're going to start to arch the back, and we want to avoid that from happening. Then fold to the earth, make your way into plank, and one power vinyasa. Lower to crocodile, lift up dog, hinge back, hold down dog. Remember, you do not have to power vinyasa. You can stay in forward fold, or you can stay in plank. Let's meet at the top of our mat. Inhale, rise to the sky. Exhale, hands to hips. Again, adjust your feet so they're hip width apart. Back to this, and we're going to keep adding on. Take your right foot back, Virabhadrasana 1. Rise up with your mighty warrior. Thumbs can wrap. Pull those ribs in. Use your core. As the leg straightens, hinge from the hips, coming into pyramid. Hand to the thigh, the shin, the blocks. What works for you? Then let the head and neck relax. Are you still pulling the left hip back, right hip forward? Using the blocks or no blocks, we can move into that twisting triangle. You can bring your left hand to your hip or bring it up to the sky. Now, if you're using your blocks, when you release, you're going to want to bring them forward as you come into chair and lift the arms up. Here comes the add-on. Bring the hands to the heart for warrior 3. Peel your right heel off the mat. As you start to bow forward, pick up that right foot and push it back. Now some of us, we may have to push our foot back here and hold, or with both knees bent. Maybe that's where the practice takes you today. Release your right hand to the earth for twisting half moon, and again, that's when we can grab that block and give ourselves an assist. Step back into a lunge, and this is going to take you into plank. And then power vinyasa. Lower to crocodile, lift up dog, hinge back, hold down dog. Make your way into forward fold, and rise back up. Hands to the hips. Adding on again. Feet hip width apart. Let's step into warrior 1. Right heel back, left knee bent, palms at the heart, and either stay here or bring that mighty warrior out of the earth. Floating in to pyramid pose. Parsvottanasana, hands to thigh, shin, earth or blocks. Let your head and neck relax. Floating into twisting half moon, Parvrita, Trikonasana. Step forward into chair, Utkatasana. As our hands come to the heart, we set up for Virabhadrasana 3, warrior 3. Peel your right heel. So you go to straighten that left leg, push the right heel back. You're welcome to stay here, or twisting half moon. Bring the right hand down, left arm up to the sky. Rotating from belly button to shoulder. Float into warrior 2, send the right foot back, windmill yourself open. Reach, hips are aiming forward. Coming into reverse warrior. Coming into side angle. Big stretch here. Then we release down, step into plank, lower crocodile. Lift up dog, hinge back, hold down dog. Make your way to the top of the mat. Rise up. Hands to hips. Step into warrior one. Rise your mighty warrior to the sky. Float into pyramid, Parsvottanasana. Opening into twisting triangle. Step into chair, Utkatasana. Floating into warrior three. Coming into twisting half moon. Release into warrior two. Float into reverse warrior. Come into side angle. I want you to windmill over to that right foot, power vinyasa. Come to the top of the mat. Rise to the sun. Step into warrior one. Left foot back. Arms rise up. Float into pyramid. Parsvottanasana. Moving into twisting triangle. Stepping into chair. Floating into warrior three. Opening into, I lied. Coming into twisting half moon. Now releasing into warrior two. Just making sure everybody's paying attention. Tipping into reverse warrior. Floating into side angle. And here, just release down into plank. Lower to crocodile. Lift up dog. Hinge back. Hold down dog. Take a pause, bring your knees to the mat, and float into child's pose. But take your hands back towards your toes. Let your forehead release to the mat. Sometimes after all that movement, we just need a moment to see where our bodies are at this time. Then reach the arms forward and meet me in down dog. So come forward into plank. Take a little hover here. If you need to be in kneeling, go ahead and take kneeling. Your pose is going to look a little different than ours. So I want you to keep holding plank and lift the right leg up. Then bend the knee. We're not going to completely flip, but I want you to tap your toe and come back. 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 Release and float all the way down to the mat. Relax, crocodile. As you unlock your toes, if you are pregnant or protecting your back, you're going to come into table pose and you're going to work your spinal balance. Right? The rest of us, we're going to be down on our stomachs and we're going to work locust, shalabhasana. So let's inhale, lift our arms and legs, pull your belly button to your spine. Looking forward and down. We're not trying to look ahead. We want to lengthen the back of the neck. One more breath here. Return to the earth. Turn your head to one side. Inhale nice and deep. Open, let it out. Come back to center. Lift everything up. Continue to do spinal balance, those of you that chose table pose. And then one more deep breath. Return to the earth. Turn your head to one side. Inhale nice and deep. Let it out. Come back to center. Bring your hands under your chest. Turn your toes under. First push onto your knees. Then lift onto your toes. Now, same thing we did when we lifted the right foot, but now lift the left. Bend the knee. Roll to the outer blade of your right foot. Tap. Come down. My left hand lifts, right? We lift and come down. 2 more times. Roll and come down. Roll and come down. Release your foot. Come into down dog. Just take a pause here.
pedal those heels if you need it. Now sweep that right foot off the mat. Flex the foot, bend the knee, hip rolls open, and it's not what you're thinking. Come into lizard pose. Bring that right foot outside your hand and bring the left knee down. So some of you thought we were going to flip the dog. We did not. Now I want you to either stay up on your hands using your blocks or come on down to your forearms using the blocks or no blocks. Really let your hips release. Let your head and neck release. One more deep breath here. Then come on up onto those hands. And I want you to come back into that hip opener, but come forward into plank. Now flip into wild things. Step the foot across and then lift up and over. But we practice the flip, right? So if you just want to practice tapping the toe and staying here, stay there or lift up and over. Come back into your hip opener and meet me in pigeon. Knee to the right, foot to the left. Release knees, unlock toes. So second part of our class is slowing things down just a little bit. Hips are heavy, shoulders are soft, and feel free to bow forward into this pigeon bow. Whether you stay up on your hands and forearms or you release deeper. I want you to sit your weight in the center of the mat and draw your right hip back, left hip forward. Now for some of you, this pose is not accessible at all, so maybe it's seated Z, or it is reclining pigeon, crossing the right ankle over the left thigh, even with the foot down. So whatever feels best for you is where the pose needs to go. Slowly walk your hands into your body, sit to the side, bring the legs around for Navasana prep, boat prep. Lift the shins. Reach to the heels. And what I want you to do is bring your feet down, open your knees wide, and I'll turn. So you're on the outer edges of your feet, and I want you to push up and come down. Push up and come down. I turn back to my side. Now, meet me back in boat prep, here or here, and either take it to this pull through, and then come back down, or you're gonna lift. So do that 2 times. So we come here to boat, and we pull through, come back down, boat, pull through or push to lift, come back down. As you lift one more time to boat, take it to a power vinyasa. Make your way into plank or kneeling, and either stay here or lower to crocodile. Lift up dog, hinge back, hold down dog. We find our dog, we lift our left foot off the earth. Hips are aiming to the floor, then we flex the foot, bend the knee. Now peel that left hip open. But make sure your left shoulder isn't opening too. We're not trying to peekaboo. Take your left shoulder towards your right heel. Floating into lizard, bring your left foot outside your hand, right knee down. Again, if it's back here, see if you can help the foot forward. If not, stay here. Push your hips forward, just keep your knee from going past your toes. Others, you can release deeper, right? You can bring your hips forward, stay on your hands, or come on down to your forearms. Let the head and neck relax. Take one more breath here, then rise up. A lot of core work here as you pull your hips up and come into that hip opener. Pull back up, hip opener. Setting up for wild thing, come forward to plank. Now flip it, step the foot across. Either stay here or swing up and back. Making your way into that hip opener, and then coming into pigeon. Knee to the left, foot to the right. Release knees, unlock toes. Remember, if it's not here, it's seated Z. If it's not seated Z, it's laying back and either reclining pigeon with your foot down or knee over hip. I need you to decide what you need.
It's not about me and what I'm showing. It's about listening to your body, being that student of your body, and knowing what's right for today. Draw your left hip back, right hip forward. Let your head and neck relax. Slowly rise back up. And we're going to set up for that, our poses of boat, but we're going to add on to it. Some of you are not going to add on. So let me show you what the flow is going to look like, and then you decide. We're going to go from boat pose, and then we're going to take that pass through into baby crow. So those of you that know how to do crow, it is not an arm balance. It's on the forearms, and your elbows are coming to your triceps. So as you dive through, you bring your forearms down, tuck your knees onto your forearms, and lift. And then come back down. And if you're like, yeah, no, my body's not going to do that. Remember, we were here, and we pushed and came down. So it's not about what you can't do. It's where we're building strength. So let's take 4 rounds of this. Boat pose to either lift or dive through into baby crow. And then we come back down. What do you need? Maybe your feet never leave the floor. Or you're like, I can get here, but not here. And that's okay. Whatever works for you. But finish your 4 at your own pace, or sit and watch. You know, sometimes we're better at being spectators, and that's okay. When we let go of the I can'ts, we learn what our bodies can. So when you finish that last one, what I want you to do is grab your blocks. Because of course, with our pose of the month being elephant trunk pose, we have to work the flexibility and strength for that pose. So some of the movements we did, opening the knees, pushing up, was that push work we're going to need for elephant trunk. So what I want you to do is send your legs out straight. Bring the blocks forward of your hips. So we're not back here with our hips. Our hands are a little bit forward. Use your blocks, or if you're using the floor, you may not get very far with your lift, and that's okay. But again, we're not rounding from our low back. We're staying tall in our low back, but if I was to poke you in the belly, you're going to feel the upper body round, not this dropping into the low back. So stay tall, just rounding the shoulders. Here we go. Push to lift, come on down. Push to lift, come on down. So I want you to know that part of our flow is that push to lift. Now, bend the left knee. Take your right hand to the arch, left hand behind the knee, and rock and roll. We'll get back to the push and lift in a moment. All right. From here, we can try and pull our knee back and bring our hands to hold the foot. So we want the knee behind the shoulder. And then for some of you, you're going to stay right here. I'll move my block back outside my thigh and hip. And others, try to get that shoulder over the arm. And then if you can hold the leg up, stay there. Adjust your block if you need it. And without pushing off the ground, can you lift your right leg? We've got to be able to do this before we can do this. So we got to be able to have that quad strength to lift that leg. And then we release, release, lean back, shake it out. Sometimes our first thought is, I can't do that. And I don't want you to go there. What part of this pose can you do? Is it bending the knee and holding right here? Right? Because if you're dropping here, we want to stay tall. So maybe it's holding the leg and not even rocking and rolling. What works for you? And then from here, can we pull the knee back on this right leg and hold both hands to that foot? And if you can get the leg over the arm, even if it's down by the elbow, we're not lifting, so we're not going to put pressure into that elbow joint. But what we're trying to do is hug the shoulder towards the knee and the knee towards the shoulder, so they're squeezing towards each other. And again, can you hold your foot up? If you're like, no, I'm going to fall forward, then practice holding your foot up, pulling your abs in tight. Then add in the leg lift. Can you lift and hold without even taking your bottom off the floor? See what happens. Maybe your leg is just lifting and dropping, lifting and dropping, lifting and dropping. That's okay. It's part of the process. Then release. Move the blocks out of the way and lean back. Wiggle those legs. Bounce those knees. Now, come back into your hero pose. We started in it in the beginning of class. So for some of us, what we're going to do is we're going to take one leg outside, and I want you to roll that calf out from underneath, and then you're going to lift up and take the other leg out. Roll the calf out from underneath, and you can come sit here. Knees can be together or only hip width apart. If you get here and you're like, ow, 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 maybe you need those blocks again, right? You sit on a block, you sit on one block, or you're sitting on your heels, or in easy seated. It is up to you. But whatever you decide, what I want you to do is take your left arm out, stretch those fingers back. Turn the fingers up, stretch them back. Let the fingers drop down, hold the back of your hand. Other side, fingers stretch back. Aim the fingers up, stretch them back. Aim the fingers down, back the hands stretch. Release, sit up nice and tall, inhale deep. Exhale it out. Meet me in down dog. So we can counter this pose one more time, pedaling out those heels. Some of these poses don't always feel the greatest. We have discomfort, but as long as we can breathe through that discomfort, it is okay. It is called a yoga practice, not yoga perfect. Come on down, cross the ankles to sit back, and let the legs come through. I want you to extend the legs out. We're going to do some stretches. Reach up nice and tall, and then hinge up and over those thighs as you let the head and neck relax. So again, we're lengthening the low back, but we can round through the upper back. As you release, take this left ankle across the right thigh into this seated half pigeon or log stacking pose. And you can stay here, and again, use your fingertips if you want. Lift up and stay here. This may be enough. For the rest, start to hinge forward, not reaching for the foot. So I want you to let that go, but I do want you to curl your toes back to your face to stretch your calf. And the weight of your left leg may create a lot more tension, so maybe you have to come up a little bit. What feels best for you in this stretch? Slowly release, and let's come into half cow face. Take this left knee and see if you can stack it on top of the right. If that does not work, then maybe you're just going to step the foot across and tip forward. So we don't have to go to the stacking if we're really tight, and then tip forward. We can stack our fists on our knee. Try to keep your toes aiming to the sky. You can do one fist. You can take the block between your ribs and your thigh and lean into it for support. Again, we're not trying to go to the toes. There's nothing special there. And then slowly rise up. Extend your left leg out. Cross your right ankle over the left leg. So you may be feeling really tight, and so staying here is where you need to be. Otherwise, feel free to start to tip yourself forward, taking it at your own pace. Offer your heart to your toes, but get that calf stretch by curling your toes back to your face. As we take one more breath here, we transition into this half cow face. See about sliding the leg over. Again, if not, just take your foot across and you can lean forward. Using any props to aid you in finding ease in that stretch. Again, fingertips behind or leaning forward, stacking the fists. So even though we're stretching, it doesn't mean we're going into total relaxation. It means it's an active movement trying to lengthen the muscle through stretching. Slowly rise up. Uncross the legs. Bring bring the feet together, but it's a longer version of our Baddha Konasana, bound angle. So we don't want our feet in because we're actually going to stretch forward. So I do want you to take your hands underneath your calves if they'll go. If not, stay right here. Then slide your arms through so your elbows come to your calves. And then feel free to hold your feet, take your fingers underneath your feet, but round forward and let your head and neck release. One more deep breath here. Slowly release your upper body, rising up. Feel free to draw your knees to the sky. As you lean back into your hands, shift your bottom down, and we're going to prepare for Shavasana, our final pose. Go ahead and lay back. Hug the shins into the body. I like to do a twist as part of our final relaxation twisting before we go into Shavasana. So if you'd like, open your arms out to the letter T, roll your hips and knees to the left as you turn and look to the right. Inhale, come center. Roll the hips and knees to the right as you turn and look to the left. Come back to center, nice big hug. And release the legs. Release the arms and find your final relaxation. Just imagine your body going heavy, making an imprint on your mat. Feel the face soften. Relax your jaw. The sense of ease and softness in the body, in the mind. Either stay here longer, start to wiggle those fingers and toes, bring a little movement into the body. If you'd like, extend the arms overhead for that reawakening stretch. And on an exhale, start to draw the legs into the body as you come into this nice big hug. Slowly roll yourself to one side. Use that bottom arm like a pillow and just relax here. Gently press into those hands to rise up into easy seated. And as we sit tall, we can bring our hands to the heart, reminding ourselves of this quote from Les Brown. We tell ourselves when it is hard or when it's getting hard, I know I'm going to make it. Whether it is on or off the mat, we are going to make it. We are all in this together. Let's use the sound of Om to bring a little more ease before we end our practice. Take a nice big inhale. Om. The light in me honors and respects the light in